unforgettable video cassette. Filmed live at the Royal Albert Hall, London, with a company of over...
Good afternoon. I'm sort of perched in this lovely little setting straight out of the 90s. I've got my tea. It's very cold. I'm on an island right now, in the middle of somewhere. Not gonna tell you where. You don't get to know. I actually remember sitting in this room in 2021. I was 20 years old. I'm going through this major life shift. And here I was just reading, I was writing, and I was painting, I was doing art, and I was creating, but I had a deadline. Because in August I was gonna leave. I don't know, I was just enjoying life. And I was at peace in my heart. I didn't want anything from anyone. I didn't want to do anything else besides just create art, and I feel like I want to get back to that girl, that person who's doing those things and wanted those things so badly. Since then, a lot has changed. I've had life experiences that have sort of made creating feel like pressure, like I'm in a pressure cooker. And I have so many ideas swimming around, but channeling them in a way that feels aligned and right is so challenging. I can only describe it as this feeling of shedding my skin completely and becoming an entirely new version of myself, and having absolutely no idea how to navigate that version of me because I'm carrying a lot of other emotions, shame, guilt, those being some of the worst. I'm no longer that 20-year-old girl who was reading and at total peace with herself and just felt like I was so much just me in the being, and I had deleted Instagram. I wasn't seeking external validation. I wasn't looking at outside sources to tell me who I was. I was just enjoying myself. My spirit's a little dampened now, I would say. Or I'm making an effort to get back to that place. And I wanted to talk about this. Yeah, I started doing this thing. I'm actually on week 2. It's a 12-week course, and essentially it's a book from the 90s, but it gives you a week-by-week guide on how to start to become a creative and enter what I saw on Pinterest as being called the creatrix. I don't know, I kind of like that. It's combining spirituality with actual forward movement and action to get you to a place where you're not putting off creating until you feel well or life is perfect. You actually just start where you're at, and you start with very actionable steps. Right now, in chapter 1, the author talks about something called the morning pages. She talks about something called an artist date. And what these things are essentially journaling and getting the fuck out of the house. The morning pages are 3 pages every single morning, or at least sometime during the day. I haven't even stuck with it every single morning, but I've done it every day up until now. And you're just writing for 3 pages. It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter what you write. You can write the same thing over and over again if you want. Just write. Because it teaches you how to get past those creative blocks. I don't know what to write. Just write. Just keep writing. Just keep writing till it's done, if you can. The artist date, on the other hand, is getting yourself out of your very comfortable, very niche environment to go out into the world and gain inspiration from new places, hence this setting. This is my artist date, being here. Reconnecting with that younger self, reconnecting with the space, a space that has brought me joy and inspired me my whole life. I love it here, and I want to be able to feel creatively inspired and make something, anything. Doesn't matter what, doesn't matter if it's good or not. The first chapter that I'm on has been difficult because it's digging into your psyche and asking yourself where and when you've felt like your creative self has been stifled, who have been the dissenting voices in your life. And it's been difficult for me to do. I had a good childhood. My mom was pretty encouraging of our creative side. Actually, more than anything else, she wanted us to cultivate our creative and spiritual nature. We went on many adventures. We did lots of creative stuff, scrapbooking, lots of writing. I had lots of toys and I would play with them all the time, and I had these worlds I would create with my toys. She would encourage us to read. A lot of reading was done here. Singing, music was in this house. I've always sought out creative endeavors. I've always sought to create. The biggest issue that I've faced has not been being drawn towards creative things. It's feeling that my creative voice isn't enough, or I can't venture outside of what I'm naturally good at. I'm very good at writing, not super good at music, but it's something I've been focusing on and trying to learn more about. For you, it could be any number of things, you know? You could be a child of artists, or you could be somebody who's very left-brained and has never really tapped into their creative side, but you want to find more fulfillment and purpose in this life, and so you're looking to be more creative and you don't really know where to start. I think start with your childhood, for one thing, but starting with this book, it's a very great tool to get the gears turning. I think it's helped me a lot with getting all of my jumbled thoughts just out on a page. Sometimes whatever I choose to write during the day doesn't make any sense. I don't know why I chose that, but I did. And so I'm just happy that I put it on page, because you never know what you write now will come in handy down the line when you're working on something bigger than you ever expected. And that's sort of the place I'm in right now. I talked a little bit about how I'm coming from this mindset of shame, guilt, mistrust of myself, feeling like I can't follow through on things, and trying to transition more towards a mindset of being a creator, letting my mind run free, but harnessing it when I need to put something down on a solidified source, whether that be writing or music or graphic design, photography, videography, all these things I love. I want to be able to metamorphosize from someone who feels really small and someone who feels really lost to someone who feels really free and really filled with purpose and just at peace, like that girl in this room long ago, and I want to get there again, and I think that I can. Anyways, talking about all of your demons, all of the voices in your head that tell you you're not good enough, but I'd like to talk about something besides those voices. Actually, those voices are always there for me. I don't know about you, they're there all the time. But one very specific thing that I deal with regularly is this pit, this emptiness, like a void inside that's not full of anything. It's just this apathetic, numb, dark hole. It doesn't have a rhyme or reason for showing up, but sometimes it shows up and it won't go away. And it is so hard to be creatively inspired at all. I don't even mean just happy about what you're creating or hating what you're creating. It's just an apathetic nothingness, this indifference of it doesn't matter, none of it matters. It's a scary place to be. I've found I think I exist in that space a lot more than I ever have before, and you know, working through that and saying, well, you have to do it even if you don't care about it. That's been rough, but something I'm more than willing to continue to work on. I made a promise to myself when I started this book. I was in Chicago. I was at my friend's new apartment. I was inspired by her drive and ambition to get there, to get out of our little town. You know, I was proud of her, and I was looking around at myself and I thought, she's gonna make it here. She has what it takes. She's worked on the things that she needs to work on to get the type of life she wants. I thought about myself. Have I worked on those things? Am I where I want to be? I have a career. I have a condo. Okay, I have my own car. I make decent money. I'm living the American dream, right? Yeah. But I don't feel fulfilled on the inside. Always felt like I'm an artist, and I've always felt like the art is calling and it's telling me to stop fucking ignoring it. It wants me to acknowledge its existence and stop starving it out. I've filled my time, my spare time, with many things. Travel, food, men, And I have kind of come up with this emptiness every time. And the void just keeps growing and growing and growing, and there's nothing substantial to fill it with, because I do these flights of fancy, I guess. For what? They don't really end in anything but me feeling alone and sad and like I'm wasting my time. But it's never a waste of time. I always learn something very important. But now it's time to take the things I've learned and make some art with them. So I want to go over the first step to becoming an artist. And it's actually not really a step, it's a process. The first process to becoming an artist is what I like to call, and what lots of people call actually, derealization. What that means, to me at least, is if you take the actual part of the word realization, which means to come to a understanding of something in mind, body, and spirit, derealization is sort of taking a step back in mind, body, and spirit. For somebody who's super apathetic and super numb sometimes, maybe this sounds counterintuitive, but I don't see it that way, because derealization is actually placing yourself in a very vulnerable position where you have a brain that is no longer adhering to incredibly strong belief systems you may have once held, and is now susceptible to new beliefs. If you're in a position in your life where you can reteach yourself to believe something that's actually going to benefit you, derealization can be a wonderful process, albeit very lonely. But the process of derealization essentially is going from, I've always believed this about myself, but I don't want to believe that anymore because it's not serving me, and so now I want to believe this. But in order to get from here to here, I've kind of got to go down, exist in this middle ground for a time, and it's uncomfortable. I don't belong here. It's like no man's land. I don't want to be here for super long, but I must in order to exist here. Okay, I moved locations a little bit because of the sun. Hopefully it won't get too much in my way. Okay, I needed to change locations because the sun was really getting in my face. But basically the process of derealization is going from one deeply held belief system that we had to a completely other one, and understanding that the belief system we once held for ourselves is actually like pedaling backwards on a bike. It's actually moving us backwards. We're not going forward towards anything. We're not accomplishing anything. Our goals are here, and we're going this way. Derealization is taking away that yearning and that drive towards this vice that used to satisfy us and saying, no, that won't work. We've got to go this way, and I know it's uncomfortable, and I know it feels weird, but one day it won't feel uncomfortable or weird anymore. One day it'll feel natural, just like this does. We can get there. It's just going to be a lot of resistance in the middle. So I'm spending a great deal of time on the first chapter of The Artist's Way because I'm practicing more than just identifying negative beliefs. I'm practicing derealization to those negative beliefs. And here's kind of how I'm doing it, in a sense. And it's not going to be easy, I promise you that. I like to call it starving out the vices. What this means is that the things that I once used to fill those voids where I could have been creating things, I'm no longer allowing myself to participate in for the foreseeable future. There are lots of ways people fill that void. We could talk about people who are addicts, and most of the time it is people who are addicts, but they don't really understand what addiction it is that they use. I mean, some of the common ones are nicotine. I'm still working on that one. I'm a big cigarette smoker. Marijuana, alcohol, harder drugs of the sorts. Relying on those harder drugs regularly to get through the day. Even artists use, marijuana and use shrooms to help with their creative process. But if you use it too much, you start to become dependent on it instead of trusting your own inner voice to lead you down those places. So I'm not against using them to create by any means. I use them to create, but use them in moderation. Use them when you're really stuck, when you're really stagnant. but not every day and not all the time. Because all of a sudden you'll find that you're creating way too much and you're actually neglecting like very important household things that you need to do. Okay? It's not really good when it comes to those practical tasks, is it, to be high? Those are sort of like common ones, but maybe less common ones that are also just as impactful on us are things like shopping addiction, spending way too much money gambling, thrill seekers, people who do very dangerous things for fun, people who are constantly over analyzing their health or over analyzing the state of their health. So people who are way too into their body and how it looks could be one way that you're actually using a vice to block creativity, or going the other way completely and neglecting your body entirely, like overeating or not exercising at all. Just a huge focus, a huge mental spiral about the way your body looks can be a vice. Means of digital communication, overuse of social media can be a huge way that you're filling a void instead of actually taking the time to focus on creative work. For me personally, and this is hard to admit, being a serial dater
You need to leave!
has been something I've used to fill the void. I know that it can be really fun, and a lot of the times I've told myself, well, I'm just experiencing stuff. I'm just gathering these experiences I'm having so that I can write about something. But the reality is that you're not using it to write about anything. You're actually using it to fill the time so that you don't feel so lonely. And by you, I mean me. I could sit here and talk about that. It's a whole topic in and of itself that I actually would like to make content about, because I have a great deal of experience dating a lot and it not working out a lot, and how that sort of led me here. But I wanted to talk about this more. This is more important to me. And so the way in which I've starved out my vices is by deleting the apps and keeping them deleted. And I'm not just talking about Tinder. I'm talking about social media as well, because I'm a social media addict. I love scrolling. I love consuming content, constantly consuming content. But that's not the solution. Of course, consuming content can be very helpful. In fact, I've been watching more films. I'm not a film person. I watch the same movies over and over again. I don't like watching and venturing out into new films. But I've been trying it out because I heard somebody say on social media a while ago that it can help with your visual creations, right? It can help you when you're a designer, or it can help you when you're a photographer or videographer to film better and understand film better. So I've been watching more films to try and help with that creative process. I've been reading more to try and kickstart my own creative process with writing. With music, I listen to a lot of music because it helps inspire the music I want to make. This is all means of consumption that I think are totally fine, as long as you're not distracting yourself from creating something by using those things to fill the time. Do you know what I'm saying? You're not a creative if you just delete social media and just watch movies all day long. You're just watching movies. At that point, you're still a consumer. So balance it out. Derealization in this process has been very difficult for me. It's been very difficult for me to not seek out attention in the places I used to. It's very hard for me to sit here and say, can you be with yourself alone with no one to talk to? Or do you really think your worth is just based on the people who are giving you attention? As hard as it is to admit, but starving out the vices can be the best way to force yourself into this pit where you're like, well, I can't go back. I have no options. I have nowhere to turn. I have nowhere back to go because I made a commitment to myself. So I must go forward, and it's uncomfortable, and I'm like still really unhappy, and nothing's working, and everything I create is shit. You just keep going. You just keep going. The last part of this I want to talk about are the 11 pillars of creative expression and evolution. It's not my own pillars that I created, okay? I literally got this off of Pinterest, and I'm going to link below where I got it so you guys can see it for yourself written out. But I wanted to cover sort of some of these pillars as a way of understanding and reminding yourself whenever it gets really difficult to stay the course and to make sure that you're doing all of these things or covering all of these bases so that you get where you need to go. In this process of derealization, I've found for myself that one of the most challenging things I struggle with is action. I struggle with action a lot. I wake up in the morning and I just lay around and I mill about my day and do different things, and I don't get ready for the day. I don't make schedules and routines. It's hard for me to do things in a very structured way. I'm not diagnosed with ADHD. I do have anxiety, depression, and OCD though, so maybe just throw another one onto the mix. Who knows? I do struggle though. I struggle with getting stuff done. I struggle with getting ready. I struggle with all those things, and it's hard for me to actually focus on the day-to-day life. And I'm always in my mind, I'm always just sitting down and kind of ruminating, and I'm really in my head. And so, I don't know, being more active and taking active steps towards things feels like better. I just feel better. But it's hard. It's hard for me to do. Let's go over these pillars. The first one is to start where you are with creation. Basic notebook is great for the morning pages. Taking yourself on an artist date doesn't have to cost any money. My sister and I love doing our scrapbook journals, so we sign up to a Vogue subscription, which is really cheap, like I think $15 a year, or you can get really cheap magazines at a thrift store and just cut them out and paste them all over our journals, and it's really fun and it's cheap and it's a great way to like spark creativity. That's just a brief thing that you could do, but just starting where you are, starting with what you've got, helps you understand that you don't need to have all this equipment, all this stuff to make something good. You can just make it anyways. That's the point. Just start, just do. And I tell myself this all the time, just do it. Just do it. You don't want to do it, it's fine. Just do it anyways. Becoming your own biggest fan is the second pillar. This is hard. This is one that I have been ignoring. This is one that I can't even seem to be able to grasp or get to because I'm so self-critical, and it's so difficult for me to even think for a second that the things I'm creating have any purpose or meaning. I'm still rallying behind myself to do it anyways because I have to do it. There's no other choice. I have nothing else. Maybe eventually I'll become my own biggest fan. But for right now, I'm just taking those baby steps, which we'll get to, and being your own biggest fan will come in time, I'm sure. Create what you wish existed. That's the third pillar, and it's actually really easy in some areas and really difficult in others. For instance, with music creation, I barely understand music theory. I just learned about major and minor chords. I don't know very much about music at all, and so when I listen to a composed music piece, especially by my favorite artists, I think, how did they make this? How could they make something this good? Like, I wish I could have made this, is what I think. I don't even know if there's any type of music out there I wish existed, because the music I love is exactly what I wish existed, and it does. But with writing, it's different. With writing, I have tons of ideas that are original and unique and sort of not what has been created before, and so, I don't know. I think that I'm much better at writing naturally, and so those ideas come up because I know I can expound upon them like that. With music, it's more about the technical skill and learning how to form melodies and learning how to mix different beats and whatever the hell together. It takes time, but both of them are fulfilling to me in different ways. One of them I can really become immersed in right now, and the other one's going to take time and patience, and maybe a mix of both is good. But creating what you wish existed can help a lot, especially when you're starting out and you're doing something you're naturally better at than something you're actually learning and taking time with. The fourth pillar is lean into obsession. Girl, if you're obsessive like me, this should not be hard for you, because once you get immersed in something, you're fully in it. You're diving headfirst and nobody can pull you out of that. And I'm most definitely an obsessive person. I mean, look at my fucking crazy blue eye. You know, girl, I'm crazy. Once I get fully invested in something, I feel like it's really hard to pull me out of it. 5 is finding structure in the chaos. Again, this one's really hard for me. It's hard for me to take actionable steps every single day, or have routines, or have structure. You have to have both. You can't have the chaos without some structure to put it down onto, and you can't have structure without a little bit of chaos to make it interesting. And I think finding a balance between the two is really hard as an artist, but it's very necessary and can help with the process of entering the creatrix. 6 is value yourself enough to do something with your ideas. Stop putting it off. Stop saying somebody else will do it. Stop making excuses, because anything you ever have to say that's a reason why you haven't started is an excuse, by the way. Valuing yourself enough sometimes also means hitting rock bottom with a lot of other things and saying, well, what else am I supposed to do? And that's what I've been doing. It's like, I don't have anything else I want to do. I just want to do this, and I don't always like all my ideas, but I know I will make something really good if I just keep going. 7 is my favorite, and it's fuck a niche. Fuck a niche, girl, fuck a niche. You don't need a niche. You don't need a niche. You can do whatever you want. You can do as many things as you want. There are so many things that I want to do, so many things I want to get good at, so many things I want to try. Like, you don't need a niche. You can just keep creating and keep creating, and maybe eventually everything you love will just come together and it'll make sense. 8 is commit to baby steps. This is what I was talking about earlier. Committing to the process means sometimes taking really small actionable steps. There are some days where all I can get through is the morning pages. I can't do anything else. There are other days where I'm able to focus a bit more and put more intention and effort into creating something and then editing it down and all of that stuff. So that's sort of what I mean by committing to baby steps, is do what you can at the time. Number 9 is to understand your flow. I think this takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of doing creative work and being actively involved in creative work to get to the point where you know yourself and know how you work best. So you're not flailing your arms in the creative process. You're actually understanding, how do I jumpstart my creativity? How do I take actionable steps to make something? And what is my editing process like? And you'll get really good at it with time. You get really good at it when you keep going through it over and over again. Number 10 is seek failure. I think perhaps the better word for it is to just accept failure, but sometimes seeking failure is fun. Sometimes just making something that you know is shit just for fun can be fun if you allow yourself to just try something, and you never know what it'll lead to down the road. And then number 11 is to just let it be easy. Let it be easy. Let it come naturally. Just don't force yourself to do something beyond your capabilities. Just do what you can. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. You're not the next Beethoven right now. You're not the next Mary Shelley right now. Create and do what feels natural to you, and the rest will come in time. Entering the creatrix is a full body process. We're talking your mind, your spirit, your soul, your emotions, your heart, and physically as well, your body, are all undertaking a massive transformation where eventually down the line you'll realize you don't depend on the things you once did to make you happy and make you fulfilled. Whatever it is that is your creative calling, you know what it is. You know. It doesn't have to be what it is for me or for your neighbor or for your friends. You know what it is for you. You know what's calling you. You feel it. It's the first thing that comes to mind when I say entering a creative state of mind. Being a creative, you know what that means for you. I know what it means for me. It's a lonely process. It's hard. But we'll get there.